Good Sunday morning to you. This is James Detroit trying to talk about current events. I want to thank you for subscribing and tuning in. We're going to talk about COVID-19 today, and I think it's on everybody's mind. I've been outspoken about the fact that I think that we're taking severe, drastic measures that are going to have the unintended consequences that are much worse than what our expected desire is, fighting the virus. The cure is going to be worse than the virus. I think there's four things right now that we can do. We've been talking about them, that we can get back to work right now, start up the economy in many places, and to Steve Hilton's suggestion about 10 days ago, that we can open where possible and close where necessary the economy. Number one, we can wear masks and face coverings in public. There's already an aspect of public shaming if you're in groups of more than 10 and or not, we're closer than 6 feet apart. There's no reason for, if we live in the same household, I got it, my wife's got it. There's no reason for us to worry about that. However, if you're in public, yes, a fair distance away. I don't need the guy in the gas station breathing over my shoulder, and I can tell that he had a hard night of drinking last night. We can end that in our society for sure. Number two, we can recognize that there are non-big pharma means for helping our society, the human immune system, create antibodies, this herd immunity concept. And they include, but are not limited to, zinc and vitamin D. Our population has regularly shown that there are deficiencies in our system of zinc and vitamin D, as well as nebulizer treatments such as hydrogen peroxide and iodine. These have all shown to help real patients get better from this novel coronavirus. And I'll give one example of Dr. Brownstein and Dr. NG and Dr. Nussbaum's holistic office in West Bloomfield. And the gentleman was on his deathbed with this COVID-19. And after these treatments, within 4 days, he's walking around and he's so appreciative without the aid of Big Pharma. Because as we know, our governor just released the ability to be able to use the hydroxychloroquine in this state as an off-label treatment for this crisis. And I don't know if Governor Cuomo has released that yet in New York, but that's been one of the big issues. And this helps to alleviate our system that is obviously stressed out, because the hospitals really should be for the severe patients that require the ventilators. And ventilators is another thing. We've seen so much through this crisis where the University of Minnesota, they're manufacturing their makeshift ventilators, but they still can work and help people breathe that are having trouble breathing through this, so that they can get the treatments that they need. And the CPACs have been changed into ventilators. There are a number of things that have come out of this to realize that we do not have to just rely on the system. We can take care of ourselves. Number three, hydroxychloroquine must be made widely available to treat serious patients. And this is a drug that be used for off-label, but everybody that's traveled to Africa, as an example, we've had family members that have traveled to Africa, they were given this drug where malaria is still an issue. They were given this drug, and there's so little known side effects. There's so little published side effects. So this is already available, and that creates a challenge for Big Pharma and our government, because we don't have to throw $8.5 billion at something. We've already got something that's available. Even the ingredients are available. Ooh, man, we don't get to take more money from the taxpayer. Number four, we need to start having vast randomized whole society testing, the 5 to 15 minute test for asymptomatic people and anybody else, so that we can identify stealth carriers. You can do that. I mentioned it before about opening the bars, the restaurants, the eateries, opening up everything in public. And we have mobilized mass amounts of people with the ability for all of the voting and all of the census testing and all of these things. We can do this. And then I'm going to read an article from Mike Adams. And I don't agree with this gentleman all the time, but I think he makes some pretty decent points, and I wanted to share it. I lose it if I don't just read it. So the article says, we need a national program right now to manufacture and distribute zinc supplements at no charge to the entire population. We need large-scale wartime production of masks and testing kits. And we need public education programs that reverse the idiotic advice of government officials who told Americans to stop buying masks and other similar nonsense. More importantly, we need to end the big pharma stranglehold over America because it's big pharma that's pushing the censorship of truthful knowledge about zinc, vitamin D, and natural cures. Big pharma controls the media, the medical schools, the lawmakers, and even the tech giants. Dr. Fauci is a puppet master of big pharma, and he represents their interests, not the interests of the American people. Now, I will say, Dr. Fauci has served 6 presidents, and I feel like he served the American people fantastically for a number of years. He seems like a very nice man, and he is a doctor and immunologist or something along that lines, but he seems to be very smart, and I think he does care about people in general. But I also think that he was there before the president got there. He was there before most people in Congress got there, and if he so chooses and healthy enough, he can serve in that capacity until he decides to step away. It's almost like he's got the post or the position of you are on the Supreme Court, and you're going to die before you get out. That's the only thing that's going to take you out. Back to the article. The bottom line, if we continue to allow Big Pharma to control all information about public health, potentially millions will die and our economy will collapse from the repeated lockdowns. Big Pharma will destroy America just to push their monopolistic control over public health, and they absolutely do not want zinc and vitamin D or off-patent, off-label, cheap drugs like hydroxychloroquine to solve this problem before a vaccine comes along. And I will say that is one of the things that our government continually has shown, is that if they cannot throw more money at something, cannot demand, well, we're going to have to spend this money, inflate or die, so to speak, then they have consistently shown that, they don't want to talk about that solution if it's readily available and doesn't cost much. Back to the article. Every death that occurs from the coronavirus is a death of ignorance. Millions do not need to die. The economy doesn't need to collapse. We don't need to live as prisoners in our own homes, surveilled by a medical police that answers to Big Pharma and the NIH, or Dr. Fauci. Now, I will say, we are responsible for ourselves. And what this challenge should say more than anything is that we should have reminded ourselves that we need to make sure that the people we know, we tell them. The people that we know that we love them, we tell them that. And we share that with them. We should get back to some basics in our society that technology allows us to do it, like right now, but also call somebody, FaceTime them, send them a text, and we should get back to really caring about each other. Also, we should be more conscious of our public health and washing our hands. And maybe I like this idea of not having to shake hands as something that needs to be done. I think that Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci are suggesting that it is a 50% decrease in the deaths by the flu if we didn't shake hands on such a regular basis. And then lastly, we are responsible for ourselves. And it has been said by President Ford years ago, but a government that's big enough to provide you with everything is big enough to take everything. And I know that this is an ongoing debate. We think that there are 2 sides to our government, a Democratic side or Republican side. And I just been on record as saying it's that way so that they can divide us into non-important issues so that they can then have more and more control. And we're okay with that because we're so comfortable. Listen, I hope this finds you well. I hope that you get a chance to online celebrate and worship today. There's a lot of church services that are online. And I hope that you get a chance to reach out and tell somebody that you care about that you love them, if you haven't already done so. And until the next time, this is James Detroit, and I'm out.